Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first class of Scratch programming for beginners. Today, we'll be focusing on the different parts of Scratch and their various uses. For example, the sprites and backgrounds. We'll be also focusing on the different tools that you can use to change each and every one of them. We will be also focusing on the different code blocks and their various purposes and uses. Not exactly how it suppose interacts with other blocks, but its function and what exactly it does.
Okay, so to start off, you want to go to scratch.mit.edu. From here, you want to sign in to your account. And once you're signed in, you should appear in the home page. Now, in the home page, you have your Scratch news. Basically, what's new, what's up, that kind of stuff, updates, all that kind of fun stuff. What's happening is when check out some scratchers that you follow, check out if they have any new things to show you. Next, you come out to featured projects and featured studio. These are things that are really good from the Scratch community, and they are featured on the Scratch page because that's how good they are. We also have projects curated by some people, Scratch design studios, what the community is remixing, and what the community is absolutely loving. Okay, now, other than that, we have the create button, we have the explore button. Here you can see everybody else's stuff. We also have ideas, like their tutorials, any new ideas for them, all those kind of stuff. Next, they have the about, where you can see what is Scratch all about and that kind of stuff. But we want to go to create a new file, right? Because we want to start. So let's go to My Stuff. Now, in My Stuff, you see all your projects, and you can also see sort by all of these, or you can also create a new project in Studio. Now we want to create a brand new project, so let's click on this new project. Now it takes a while to load, but once you're in it, it looks like this. Now over here we see our screen. It's basically our place area, what is happening from our program. So this guy over here, his name is Scratchy. He's cat A. Now, Scratchy is the default sprite which Scratch puts in. Now, a sprite is a character on the screen. Now, each and every sprite has their own set of codes, costumes, makes their own sounds, all those kind of stuff. And these sprites can interact with one another. Now, here you can rename the sprite. So let's name him Scratchy. Scratchy. You can change his X and Y position manually. You can even hide him or show him. You can increase in size to double of that, or you can make it to half of it. So 50. You can also make it put it back to 100. You can also change its general direction. Right now it's facing in a 90-degree angle, right? But you can turn it around like an astronaut. So let's put it back to 90. Okay. Now, this is not the only sprite you can have. You can add more sprites. You do this by hovering over this little cat icon. Here you can choose a sprite from Scratch's extensive library. You can paint your own sprite, or you can ask it to surprise it for you. Or you can even upload a sprite from the computer. Let's choose a sprite. Here you can see a lot of different kind of sprites. Now, it may be hard to look for a single one in all of this, so luckily they organize it for you. You can check out your animals, people, fantasy characters, dancing, music, sports, food, fashion, and general letters. Now, let's say you want to go to and get a ball. Okay, that's Scratchy, a ball to play with. But now we don't exactly like the ball. We want to change the color. So to do this, we go to costumes. Now in costumes, you see that it has all of these different options, all these different colors that it could be. You see, each and every sprite can have another costume, which you can switch in during the in the code. It can switch its costume to change and have an effect. Now, Here, you do this by going to code and you go to looks and switch costume or next costume. Now let's go back here. As you can see, there are many different options that you can do on these sides. Here is the fill color. Basically, when you're using a paint tool and you want to draw something, that's the color it's going to be. So let's Control Z. Now you can change this to a black, or you can change it to a deep, dark, bright red. Like that. You can even make it even an outline if it's a shape, like a circle. See how it is that black outline? Exactly. Now let's change this size back to 600. Okay. You can even change the outline size to a smaller one, like this. Or make it really big, so like 10, like that. The next tool is the eraser tool. So let's say we're drawing something and oh, oops, it goes over there. No, it doesn't matter. We can take the eraser tool and erase it. Well, you do make sure it also erases this part. So what we just do is you just Control Z or undo button to undo all the mistakes. Next, we have the fill tool. It fills out this color if you click on it to that certain color which you have in the fill icon. The next one we have is our text box. I can type I love Scratch. And if you click outside of it with the pointer tool, it comes up. Well, with some mistake, but it's fine. The next tool we have is the line tool. It goes on the thickness of the outline. It's just the simple line which you can erase at all times. There. After that, we have the circle tool and then the square tool. It's exactly the same thing as the circle tool. This is just one kind of drawing in Scratch. This is called vector, where you draw in circles. The next one we have is bitmap, where you draw in squares or pixels. For example, look at the circle again. Before it used to be a perfectly round shape, but now it's all pixelated as you can see. Even the drawing becomes pixelated. Look at that. Lines become pixelated as well. Circles also become pixelated. Squares are the only things that don't seem pixelated because they're already made out of pixels. Text boxes can also come up like I love. And then you click outside, it comes out all pixelated. The fill tool fills out in different colors, like this. Let's fill this entire spot out, like that. Then we have the eraser tool, which just erases all of this. We also have the select tool, where you can select certain parts of it. So the select tool here is very unique. The select tool doesn't select everything. It only selects the parts that you put inside of that. So you can delete that part separately. And then this part. Pretty cool. Now, over here at the top, we have certain other things. So let's go back to vector and let's undo all this. There. Now, we can select on this circle. We can flip it horizontally. Let's move it over to the side so it comes better. You can even flip it vertically. You can bring it all the way to the front, all the way to the back, or forward one layer, back one layer. Let's say you have multiple objects, like this line, this circle, and this square. Now we have multiple objects. So this square is in the topmost layer. We can bring it all the way to the back, all the way to the front, or bring it backwards one layer, one at a time. Okay? We can even group all the objects together into one object. There. Now, if I try moving one at a time, it all moves one at a time. And as you can see, there's this little plus sign. That's the center of the entire object. When you align it to the center compass, it shows you the exact middle of where it can be. You can ungroup them so that each come individually again. Now, delete this. Now, that's just the look of a sprite. Sprites can also make sounds. So as we go to sounds, we can hear these different kind of sounds. Next, we have backdrops. Now, backdrops is what the background look like. Here we have call it the stage. We have backdrop 1. We can also add backdrops in the same way we can get sprays. Let's look at their extensive library again. Wow, that's a lot. Luckily for us, they again organize it into the fantasy wipes, music, sports, outdoors, indoors, space, underwater, and patterns. Okay. Now, once we go into backdrops, it's the same exact thing. Let's click on it. We go to backdrops. We can draw our own backdrop. So let's take this. Let's draw. As you can see, it comes up in the background. We could also erase it with the same exact tools that we have in sprites. Okay. Next and not least, we need to go over the code. We have blocks for motion, making our sprite move. Blocks for the looks, to gain a different look of the sprite itself or the background. Sound. What sound do you want your sprite to make? Events. When something happens, what do you want to happen? Control. If this happens, then what? If this happens, then what? But if it doesn't happen, what else? Wait until this happens. Repeat until this happens. Forever do this. Repeat for a certain amount of times this. Wait this many seconds. Or stop all. Or when I start as a clone, create a clone or delete this clone. Sensing. It allows the sprite to interact with its surroundings and the keyboard. If I'm touching this something, if I'm touching this color, if this color is touching that color, what's the distance to something? Ask, what is my name? Key space. If that space is pressed, what do I do? If the mouse is down, what do I do? What's the mouse's X and Y position? What's its drag mode? Reset the timer. Backdrop number of what? Current of what? Days since what? Username. We also have operators to make all of these kind of calculations much easier. This plus this minus this times this divided by this. Pick random blank to blank. If this number is greater than this number, then what? If this is less than this, then what? If this is equal to this, then what? If this and this is done, then do this. If this or this is that, then do that. If it's not equal to this, then do this. If we join these two, then what? If the letter of this of apple, what is it? The length of what is it? Apple contains an A, yeah, but does a number contain 1? Mod of something, you want to round a number. What's the absolute value of it? Sine, cos, tan. All these different mathematical operations come here. Next, we have variables. What is changing? Like, let's say the score of our game. We start off at 0, so I'll set it. Then change it by 1 each time you score a point, and then show your variable at the end, your score. We also have MyBlocks, a much more complicated version of variables. And if you think this is all of it, I'd be lying. You also have extensions. In extensions, you can get music, your pen, where you can draw with your sprite, video sensing, where you're sensing the camera sensing some kind of motion, text to speech, make your projects talk, translate your text in a different languages, makey, and using your coding your makey toys with Scratch, Microbit, also programming your Microbit with Scratch, Lego Mindstorms EV3, programming that with Scratch, Lego Boost, programming that with Scratch, also programming your Lego Education Redo with Scratch, also the Go Direct Force and Acceleration, controlling that with Scratch. Now that's all the basics of these functions. Where is everything in Scratch? Now we're going to go more in depth into what each and every single part of the code does. Okay, now for motion. Motion is how your sprite moves. Do you want it to move 10 steps to the right, 10 steps to the left? Do you want it to turn 15 degrees? Do you want it to turn 15 degrees anti-clockwise? Do you want it to go to a random position? Do you want it to go back to its original position? Do you want it to glide to a random position? Do you want it to glide to some certain position? Want to point in a direct direction? Point towards the mouse pointer. Change x by 10. Set x to the change y by 10. Set y to a certain number. If it's on the edge, balance. Set its rotation style left to right. X position, Y position, and its direction. Say hello for 2 seconds. Say hello. Think. Think for 2 seconds. Switch costume to costume 2. Next costume. Switch backdrop to backdrop 1. Next backdrop. Change its size by 10. Set size to 100%. Change its color effect by 25. Set the color effect to 0. Change clear all graphic effects. Hide it. Show it. Go to the front layer. Go forward by 1 layer. Sounds. Meow. Meow. Stop all sounds. Change your pitch. Set the pitch. Change the volume. Set the volume. Next, we have events. Events are a key part of Scratch. If you didn't have events, you'd never be able to even start the code. When you have the flag being clicked, what do you want to do? When the key space is pressed, what do you want to do? When the sprite is clicked, what do you want to do? When the backdrop switches, what do you want to do? When I receive a message, what do I want to do? Control. Control helps you do exactly what it says. Control your program. Let's say you want, if you click the left arrow, you want it to move to the left. If you want to click the right arrow, you go to the right. To do this, you go up and you get your flag. Then you wanted to do this forever. If the left arrow is pressed, then left arrow is pressed, change x by -10, right? Because you're moving to the left. And then if you want to press the right arrow key button, then you want to move 10 to the left, right? Now, in control, these are just help you control your thing. Now, when you get to sensing, it helps you sprite interact with the user and the environment. So we can say if key left arrow is pressed, then change x by -10. If key right arrow is pressed, then move 10 steps. So let's bring it back here. And now you can see, if we press the play flag, this whole program starts. Left to the left, right to the right. Oh, we have to change the direction to 90. There, there. Now, we can bring this back. If, say, the scratch key is touching the ball, then we want to say game over. We go here, drag this out. We go if it's touching the ball, then broadcast message, new message, game over. And then when I receive game over, stop all. Okay? Now let's go back here, collect this, play. Oh, and you also want to put a forever block to make sure that you can check the condition all the time. So now look, bring it here, touches the ball, everything stops. Now, with all of these different sensing options, you can do various kinds of things by being able to sense the backdrop. If the backdrop is this, then what do I change the sprite to? All those kinds of interesting stuff. Next, you have operators. Now, operators really help if you're trying to include friction, velocity. If you have certain conditions to be met, like if you're able to jump, then you should be touching the floor and your jump counter should be 0, right? It's very simple stuff like this. Variables, like I said before, they help you keep track of your numbers. If you have a level, what's your score? All those different kinds of things can be kept by your variable. To make a variable, you click make a variable. For this sprite or for this sprite only. For this sprite only could be its X and Y positions. For all sprites, this could be its the level of the game, the score of the game. Cloud variables can be stored on the servers, like if you have the level score or the score itself. You can put those on a leaderboard, stuff like that. Pretty cool. Now, that's a very basic overview of Scratch. And I need to remind you guys, any kind of programming language is not easy to learn. It's not something that you can memorize in one day and be done with. Um, Programming takes time. It takes energy. You need to practice over and over and over again. And that's why I believe if you do these kind of things over and over again, learn how they work, you can be an amazing programmer. Make sure to come back into the next video to learn more. Thank you.